So thank you so much for joining me. To begin, I want you to find a nice, comfortable position where you will be undisturbed for the duration of this meditation, where we can safely venture into this new world. And once you're there, just let your eyes drift closed. Take a nice deep breath in. And as you slowly exhale, let your body totally relax into your position that you are in. Release any tension you are holding on to in between your eyebrows. Let go of your jaw. Relax your shoulders and release any negative feelings out from your heart. Let go of any tension in your lower body and take a nice deep breath in, letting it all go. And once more, a nice big inhale, exhaling entirely. I want you to bring to mind any judgments you have of yourself or others, and imagine that you are taking that judgment out of your mind in a box and placing it on the floor beside you. Now bring to mind any questions you may have or have had about anything recently. Take it out and place it down. Now remove any fear and anger you have. Take it out in its box. Place it down on the floor. You are coming into this guided journey completely free of any sabotaging thoughts, completely neutral. Take a nice deep breath in. Let it go. I want you to now imagine that you are standing outside of the Dursleys' household. You look around and see rows of the same style house line the streets. Street lamps are in position to guard each house. You go up to the front door and let yourself in. This is where you live after all. You see the little cupboard under the stairs. You decide to make an immediate left and enter the living room. All of a sudden, a letter rushes through the fireplace and magically lands in your hand. You wonder who sent this. You take a look outside the front window and see the most beautiful owl perched on the lamppost. He looks at you and flies away, comforted that you have now safely received the letter. You study the envelope. What beautiful writing! It has your name written on it. You excitedly rip it open. As you read your way through the opening sentence, you soon realize that you are reading an acceptance letter to Hogwarts. As you finish reading, you look out of the window, and this time you see a very tall man standing at the same lamppost you saw the owl. You put the letter in your pocket and open the front door. Hagrid has come to get you. He tells you to follow him. The landscape fades away and transforms into the bustling, chaotic Diagon Alley. You are overjoyed. How did Hagrid do that? You are mesmerized by all the witches and wizards dashing from one shop to another. Your feet feel amazing wandering the cobbled floors. It feels like you've stepped back in time. The old-style shops are full of goods you need for Hogwarts. Hagrid tells you that you both must make a quick stop before you can buy anything. You follow him happily, and you are standing inside the most incredible bank you have ever seen, with the most interesting tellers you have ever seen. Hagrid tells one of the tellers that you are here to retrieve a portion of what is yours from the vault. He nods his head, and you suddenly appear outside of your vault door. How does he keep doing that? The teller opens the door, and your eyes light up from the piles of gold you see in the room. You take a nice deep breath, and you can feel your pockets fill up with all the money that you need for the year. You are abundant, free. Hagrid tells you that this is now the right time for you to pick out your wand. You appear in the most beautiful, dusty old shop you have ever seen. Boxes line the walls. An eccentric man slides in on his ladder and greets you as if he has been waiting to connect you with your wand for a lifetime. He looks at you intently. He then goes and pulls a box from one of the shelves. He hands it to you. It is a stunning mahogany piece. He tells you to give it a wave. You do so, and a vase on the table explodes into tiny pieces. He takes it from you and tells you that that is not the right fit. He then goes to the back of the shop and returns with a truly magnificent, ancient, intricately crafted wand. He hands it to you, and you are engulfed in an incredible golden light. You feel a strong breeze embrace you, and your entire body is tingling. You know that this is fate, that this wand belongs to you. He tells you that this is an important and special wand, and its purpose is to only connect with people destined for greatness. You happily thank him and exit the shop with your new wand. Hagrid is there waiting with a cart filled with school supplies, outfits, and the most beautiful white owl you have ever seen. He hands you a paper. It is your train ticket. You look up, and you are now stood on the platform between the numbers 9 and 10. The ticket says platform 9 3/4. You ask Hagrid, how on earth do you get to this non-existent platform? He tells you to simply run very fast at that wall. You take a nice deep breath, and you do as he says. You run as fast as you can, and you disappear through the wall and end up in front of the most stunning steam train. You can hear the pistons hiss and the chatter of excitable witches and wizards all saying goodbye to their parents and families. You step onto the train, and you go to settle yourself, and you put your things in a carriage. The train then starts to move, and you admire the stunning country hills rolling by outside the window. The fields and fields of perfect green. You can smell the freshness of the air from inside your compartment. All of a sudden, the door opens, and two curious-looking kids ask if they could join your carriage. You tell them they are very welcome. They tell you that they are called Ron and Hermione. Bear in mind, if you have favorite characters from this world, then feel free to replace them as your guides in your mind throughout the duration of this meditation. I will continue to read using Ron and Hermione. They tell you that they know who you are and that you are very special, and they would like to accompany you as your guides throughout the rest of your journey. You feel a true sense of family, like they will be with you through thick and thin. The train halts to a stop. You take a deep breath, and the three of you are now sat in the most beautiful rowing boats heading for the castle. You can smell the wood of the boat, and you can hear the light splatter of the oars hitting the water with each stroke. You gaze at the tiny ripples that this makes from the oars. You are surrounded by the most stupendous, magical setting. You're being welcomed to your new home. Hogwarts truly takes your breath away. Its sheer stature stands so large, you could spend days simply wandering the hallways. The boat then docks, and you follow the crowd of young first years off of the boat. You hear the door bellow open, and make your way up the grand stone entrance. You can feel the history in this place. Everyone is greeted by Professor McGonagall. She welcomes you to Hogwarts in her very proper manner, and the great doors burst open behind her. Rows and rows of beautiful tables line the great hall. It is already filled with all the senior students and teachers. Professor McGonagall leads you to the front of the hall. There is a curious-looking brown hat placed on a tall stool at the front by the teachers. She tells you to come over and take a seat under the hat to discover which house you belong to. You are aware that all the other students around you have found their seats in the room. As soon as you sit and the hat is placed on your head, you feel a direct connection to the voice instantly, like it can read your thoughts. It feels like a suction cup of energy. The hat proceeds to tell you that you are an incredible human being with greatness in your heart and soul. The hat then yells the name of your favorite house, and everybody cheers. You see that Ron and Hermione are already sat there, so you go and join them, and you feel so happy you're all together. Albus Dumbledore stands up and instructs all of the prefects to guide you to your dorms. Everyone piles out of the great hall, The energy is electrifying. Everyone is eager and excited as you travel the corridors. You are very aware that you are being watched. You look up and realize that the pictures on the walls in the hallways are either waving or moving around by themselves. It is really quite peculiar and very entertaining. You reach the maze of staircases. As you climb them, the prefects warn you that they tend to move on their own. All of a sudden, the staircase releases from the bottom and rearranges itself. You all hold on tight, and then you breathe a sigh of relief when it stables again. You now find yourself in your sleeping quarters, enjoying some alone time. You are sat on the window seat, taking in the incredible nighttime view. The picturesque country at night out of your window is sublime. You can also see as far as Hagrid's cabin. Your owl comes to join you, and you take 2 nice deep breaths as you feel so grateful for this journey. You cannot stay here much longer. The sun has risen, and you must learn to fly your broomstick. You follow Ron and Hermione to class in the courtyard with Professor Hooch. She tells you to stand on the left side of your broomstick, and with your right hand over it, say the word up. As you repeat this, the broomstick jumps up straight into your awaiting hand. You mount the broom and kick off, flying effortlessly around the open grassy courtyard. You are free. You are not bound by time or space. You are free. The class look on in awe. Draco then takes off in front of you, and he throws one of the Quidditch balls. You speed off as fast as you can, and you catch it with expert athleticism. You then land slowly on the floor, and everyone is clapping you. You see Professor McGonagall walk towards you. She informs you that you are the new seeker for your house. Ron and Hermione run over and give you a huge congratulatory hug. The next thing you know, you feel a rising sensation, and you are being lifted up into the air on your broomstick. You are surrounded by crowds in stands. Players from other teams are zooming around you in your first Quidditch game. The noise is exhilarating. You feel such a rush. You still cannot help but admire the beauty of the forest around you. It's so green and perfect. You feel so connected to nature and the earth. All of a sudden you see something gold and shiny in front of your face. It's the golden snitch. You take a deep breath. You reach out and you clasp it with one hand. You got it. The crowds go wild. You won the game. You lower your broom to the ground and Ron tells you to come and take a seat. You are both playing a game of wizard chess. It is truly magical outside, with all the snow covering the grounds. It's so warm and cozy inside as you play chess with your mind. It's very relaxing. There is a beautiful Christmas tree next to you with presents underneath and a roaring fire to keep you warm. Ron gets up and retrieves one of the presents from under the tree. He gives it to you. You thank him and curiously pull out the most beautiful cloak. You put it on and immediately disappear. Ron says, "Blimey, that is an invisibility cloak." You walk through the passage entrance to your common room and begin to wander the hallways of the castle unseen. The sun has set and you feel an immense freedom, seeing where you can explore without anyone knowing. You come across a large wooden door. You pull the handle and step inside. You are stood inside a nearly empty room, the type of room that if you spoke it would echo. The room contains merely a humongous mirror. You take off the cloak and you walk up to face it. This mirror shows you your deepest desires, whoever you need to see or whatever you need to do. Dumbledore then appears behind you and kindly tells you not to dwell on your dreams and forget to live. After looking in this mirror, you know that you must discover your deep hidden truths. You don the invisibility cloak and you go to find Ron and Hermione, but they are already stood outside the door. You ask them to join you under the cloak and to help you with something that you must do. The three of you walk secretly between corridors. You go up and down moving staircases. Until you get to another large wooden door. You open it and see a giant three-headed dog fast asleep, listening to the gentle melodic sounds of a harp. You all lift the trap door and you jump down into the hole. You come to land on lots of squishy moving roots. You can smell the earth. You feel it winding around you, but you are not fearful. Hermione tells you not to panic and to take a big, deep breath, and that you have to completely relax every muscle in your body. As you do this, you all slip through the roots easily and land on the floor below. You then see a broomstick motionless in the air in front of you, with lots of flying keys zooming around the room. Your next step is to retrieve the key that is flying the slowest. You jump onto the broom and gracefully glide up to the rafters. And you effortlessly catch the key in your hand. You take a deep breath and you easily land your broom. You give the key to Hermione, who opens the next door. As you go into the next room, you are greeted with some huge giant chess pieces, like the type of chess that you were previously playing with Ron, except much, much bigger. You know that you must all play in order to find your hidden truth. Ron tells each of you to stand on a specific spot. The three of you and the pieces move about the board with grace and ease, with precision and sportsmanship, until you end up in front of the king. You confidently express checkmate, and the king drops his sword. The last door is ready for you. Ron and Hermione tell you that you must do this last bit alone. So you make your way through the next door, and you see a set of 10 stairs going down. At the bottom of the stairs is the mirror you had previously found in the room before. This time there is a guide standing next to the mirror. They tell you to descend the stairs. As you walk down, you feel yourself traveling deeper still into your subconscious. As you reach the mirror, this time it shows you something different when you look in. Something deeper. Either something that you need to release or a direction that you need to take in order to move forward in the healthiest, most joyful way. Your guide then tells you that the love that you seek lives in your skin, that everything you touch with such love and kindness will only lead to great things. You then start to illuminate with a glorious light. You thank your guide, and you have been transported to the bedroom in the Dursley household. You now have your own room upstairs, and Hedwig is in a large cage in the corner, so elegant and regal. You take a seat at the desk in the window and look out, daydreaming about Hogwarts. You see a blue dot in the far distance. It's coming closer and closer to you. You realize that there is a small blue car flying towards your window. You blink twice, wondering if this is real. It sure is. It stops directly outside of your window. You open your window, and Ron rolls down the passenger side. You ask him, what is he doing? He replies that he is taking you on an adventure. You grab your trunk from the side of the bed and put it in the boot of the car. You then get Hedwig and put his cage carefully in the back of the car. You then climb into the front seat yourself and shut the door. What a freeing experience. Ron tells you to buckle up, and you take off into the air. You fly over the houses of the town and into the countryside. You could never imagine flying over rooftops and treetops in a car of all things, but there is a first time for everything. It's exhilarating, exciting, different. There is something to be said when you have the comfort of a warm fabric seat in a heated car, but you're experiencing the view of a bird. You fly over fields and fields of grazing animals and interwoven treetops. It really is beautiful and very calming. Ron tells you to take a nice deep breath and let any thoughts disappear, and just let your imagination enjoy the ride. You arrive at a funny-looking, quaint cottage. There's pigs in a paddock in the front. Ron very carefully lands the car. You unbuckle your seatbelt and climb out. You stretch your arms and legs and thank Ron for the drive. He smiles and says, "Come on then." He leads you to the front door and opens it. Inside is a large sink full of dishes washing themselves. There is an incredibly cozy fireplace, a long wooden table for many delicious meals, chairs for you to sink into and read for hours. There are 2 large knitting needles in the air, knitting a scarf all by themselves. It's magical, literally. Ron tells you to look out of the window, and you see a huge barn owl is flying towards you with letters in its mouth. It lands on the open windowsill. Ron takes the letters and thanks the owl, who then takes off. He hands you your letter, and he opens his. It's a shopping list of items you will need this year for Hogwarts. Ron asks if you are ready to go. Go where? You ask. Why, Diagon Alley, of course. You both put on your black cloaks, and he leads you to the open fireplace. He picks up a handful of ash from a large pot and stands in the center of the fireplace. He tells you that you have to be very specific with the fireplace as to where you would like to go. He shouts, "Diagon Alley," and throws the ash at the floor. A puff of big green smoke engulfs him, and he disappears. That was really quite impressive. It's your turn. You have nothing to fear. These are all new exciting ways to travel. You take yourself a handful of ash and you shout, "Diagon Alley," as you throw it at the ground. You feel a rush of warmth from the green fire. It doesn't hurt at all. It almost feels like a warm blanket sprayed with patchouli. You feel yourself travelling forwards through a portal. There is a soft breeze blowing at you. You then arrive in a fireplace of the bookshop at Diagon Alley. It's very busy here. All the Weasley family are carrying books. Ginny has a couple of books in her cauldron. You see Hermione. She greets you with a big hug and hands you some books you will need. You thank her. You wander out of the bookshop and into the shop next door. It's filled with some very interesting and curious things. You explore around, not wanting to touch too much, but intrigued by certain pieces. Hermione is followed behind you. She picks up some things for spells to use. You purchase some clothes and herbs that you find on your list. Hermione tells you that it is time to catch the train to Hogwarts. You follow her out of the shop and Ron stops you. He tells you that he has a better way of getting to school this year. He leads you to the flying car parked at the entrance of the alley. You cannot wait to get back in the car. You load up the items that you have brought in the boot of the car. Ron has already put your trunk in, and Hedwig is safely in the cage in the back. You buckle yourselves up, and the car drives forward a few yards, and then takes off up into the air. You are flying over the centre of London. Ron pulls the flying lever all the way down as you fly up the side of Big Ben, narrowly missing the clock. Ron presses a button and you vanish in the air. No one can see you. You enjoy the movement of the life below. All the muggles moving from point A to point B, driving home from work or school. The bustle of the city slowly disappears, and the countryside starts to come into view. Ron tells you that you have to follow the train to Hogwarts as he doesn't know the way. At that moment, you see the smoke signals of a steam train in the distance. The car flies around a grouping of trees to an open clearing. You are faced with the most beautiful tall stone bridge, with the Hogwarts Express chugging along across the top of it. There is a delicate stream running underneath and in between one of the bridge openings. It is a picture postcard landscape. Ron follows alongside the Hogwarts train, and you mindfully watch the trees as the leaves rustle in the wind. Some of the branches brush the side of the car. Ron then elevates you higher, so you fly through low-hanging clouds, This is so epic and memorable. Enjoy this moment. Focus on this moment. You see Hogwarts come into view in the distance. It's just as you remember it, with its magnificent towers and surrounding forest. Ron lands the car on the green outside of the Hogwarts entrance. The car then spits out your belongings. You jump out, and the car slowly takes off in the direction of the forest. You pick up your belongings and you put them in the entrance of Hogwarts with everyone else's things. Hermione then finds you both in the corridor. She tells you that it is time for Professor McGonagall's class and to bring Hedwig and Scabbers with you. You pick up the cage and you follow Hermione and Ron down the wide open corridor. It feels so good to be back amongst these walls. You get to one of the moving staircases and say hello to the portraits on the wall as you climb the stone steps. Your class door is at the top. You enter and find your seat next to Ron. The room is filled with eager witches and wizards. Hermione raises her hand and asks Professor McGonagall if the Chamber of Secrets is real. She tells you that it is, and that it is a place that you only go if you are willing to part with your fear. She tells you that Hogwarts had 4 founders, all of which were very powerful witches and wizards, and that the chamber was created by Salazar Slytherin to see who was really deemed worthy to study magic. You take a nice deep breath, and as you exhale, the room fades away, and you find yourself sat at the top of the hill looking down at Hogwarts. It's a truly remarkable view. Hedwig is sat on a log next to you. The day is perfect. There is a clear blue sky and a fresh, calming breeze crosses your face. You are completely mindful of the view. You take a moment to really contemplate who you are, who you really want to be. You take a nice full deep breath and exhale entirely. Dobby then appears next to you. You greet him. The house elf tells you that you must not be afraid to make changes, to eliminate what holds you back, to dig deep so you can become aware of what to do in order for you to move forward for your highest and greatest good. Dobby then sits on the grass and takes some nice deep breaths with you. You sit with him following his rhythm. Dobby then clicks his fingers and smiles, and you are stood at the bottom of a large phoenix statue in a doorway in one of the Hogwarts corridors. Professor McGonagall is standing in front of you and smiles. She whispers a password under her breath, and the phoenix statue begins to turn and create a staircase. You are being lifted into the air to the next level. You feel yourself rising, expanding, moving up to the upper level. A large wooden door faces you at the top, and you push it open. You are presented with a large church-like room with endless bookcases and sleeping, snoring portraits. The sorting hat is high on the shelf. It's fast asleep. There is an open cage next to a banister attached to a spiral staircase, and perched on that banister is the most magnificent bright red phoenix. The phoenix takes a deep breath and all of a sudden ignites in a golden blaze of fire. Dumbledore appears on the stairs and tells you not to worry, that this is a phoenix and will be reborn in the ashes. You take a nice deep breath, and you then see the head of a phoenix appear from the ashes. It is healthy and happy. This is a reminder that there will always be new beginnings, new opportunities. You look out of the window in Dumbledore's tower and see that it's snowing. There are students playing and being pulled by magical sleds. You thank Dumbledore and you go back over to the large wooden door and pull it open. This time on the other side of the door is the Great Hall. It is truly magical. There are beautifully decorated trees throughout the hall, up and down on either side, and it's snowing inside. It looks so beautiful. The snow never reaches the tables. It's remarkable. It's so calming to watch. Hermione then runs down the center of the hall to greet you. You embrace. She tells you to come with her as Ron has something to show you. You follow her down the corridor and then around the corner. You enter a very large open bathroom with a center pillar of sinks in a circle. Ron hands you a book. He tells you it isn't a regular book, that he thinks it's a diary. You open up the book and see that all the pages are blank. They tell you to follow them to the library. You do so. You find a seat at the desk, and they leave you alone. You take out your feather quill and begin to write everything down that has come to mind during this meditation, that is your intention to face, to move on from, to conquer within yourself. You fill up the pages of the book. Take your time. Allow your thoughts to be poured out onto the weathered pages. You are being heard. There is no judgment, simply release and acceptance. Fill the pages with your biggest fears, situations that make you feel stuck, or anything that you feel is negative in your life that needs to change for the better. Keep writing. Ron then places his hand on your shoulder. He tells you that it's time, that you must go back to the bathroom to find the chamber. You do as he says. You bring the diary and follow him back to the large bathroom. The diary has all of your thoughts imprinted on it. He tells you that you must do this alone, and that you are the only one that can open the chamber. That the password is in a language that only you can speak. It's called parcel tongue. You can communicate with snakes. You close your eyes and take a deep breath, and allow this language to cross your lips. The sinks then grind apart and reveal an opening in the ground. You take a deep breath and you jump into the hole and feel yourself slide down a roller coaster route deep under Hogwarts. You come out to a large underground cave and see a huge steel round door with a snake on it. You know the only way to open it is by speaking parcel tongue. So you whisper the password. The steel door creaks open and you climb through. On the other side is a humongous cave. There is a long walkway with a river flowing through openings in the cave at the end. At the end of the walkway is Fawkes, Dumbledore's red phoenix. You walk towards the phoenix. You see that there is a sword laying at its feet. It telepathically tells you to put the diary on the ground and to pick up the sword. And in order for you to shed what you have written on the pages and have new beginnings, you must stab the book with the sword. You do as Fawkes says. You place the book on the floor, pick up the sword. With one big swing, you let out a loud scream, and you easily stab through the book with an effortless force. As you do, light engulfs you entirely, and you feel a huge release of backed up emotion and negative energy. Let it all go, your fears, your heartaches, your angers. Let it all go and embrace this light. Free yourself to new opportunities. You kneel on the floor before Fawkes and drop the sword as the light fades away. The phoenix comes closer to you and allows its tears to fall on your hands. Your hands absorb the tears, and you feel yourself filling up with a tingling warmth. There is an incredibly peaceful sensation engulfing your entire being. Let yourself absorb all of this. The phoenix's tears are healing every wound, every ailment, every hurt, every pain. You thank folks from the bottom of your heart. Dobby then appears next to you and you smile. You feel amazing. You decide to take off one of your socks. You hand it to Dobby. Dobby jumps for joy. You have offered him freedom, a kind act that will not go unnoticed. I want you to imagine a deer of light appears in the room that you are in. It is a Patronus charm, a very powerful incantation. The Patronus is here to protect you throughout this meditation and help heal you. It gives out a bright light that engulfs your entire physical body. It is filling you with peace and protection as you go on your journey. Set your intention now for this meditation to be for your highest and greatest good only. You also feel this light absorbing and taking away any physical pain, any stress that is affecting you negatively. Release all the tension from your muscles. Take another full, deep breath. The deer of light disappears, and on your next exhale, you find yourself sat on the pavement outside of the Dursley household with your big trunk to take to Hogwarts. It is nighttime, and speedily from around the corner, a big blue double-decker bus appears in front of you. A conductor is stood on the steps of the open doorway. He asks if you would like to board. You nod your head. He tells you to climb in and that he will grab your trunk and bring it on. On the bus there are beds with witches sleeping in them. The conductor tells you that this is the night bus and he is going to take you to the Leaky Cauldron in London. The night bus is very interesting. It has a large chandelier dangling from the middle of the bus from the top deck. It is a very bumpy, fast, exhilarating ride. You are whizzing in between traffic, completely invisible. It goes so fast that everything around you looks like a blur. All of a sudden, the bus comes to a fast halt. You thank the driver and the conductor and pull your trunk into the Leaky Cauldron. As you walk inside, you see on the long center table is a large, beautiful white owl. It is Hedwig. You pet his head. He is very happy to see you. Ron and Hermione and the rest of the Weasley family enter the leaky cauldron. They all give you a big hug and ask if you're ready to go back to Hogwarts. Ron tells you to close your eyes and take a deep breath. When you open your eyes, you are stood on platform 9 3/4 with lots of witches and wizards moving around you. You board the train with Hedwig and the trunk. The three of you find a compartment. It is raining outside. You each watch the rain and take deep, full belly breaths to the sound of the rain hitting the window and the movement of the train. Inhaling, exhaling, slowly and purposefully. It is very relaxing, the motion of the train. The train then comes to a stop and all of the lights go out on the train. The lights then come back on and you are stood in the great hall. There are hundreds of candles lit, floating by themselves in the air. It is spectacular. There is a choir set up on the stage at the front, and their song is incredible. It's very enchanting. They are all holding toads. At the end of their song, they disperse back to their seats, and Dumbledore is stood in their spot behind a tall golden lectern. It has a beautiful golden owl with his wings outstretched on the front. All of your favorite teachers are lined up behind him. Dumbledore tells you that this meditation will be about confronting your fears. He knows that you will succeed and rid yourself of any negative energies. He then dismisses you all. You are then in the dormitory, in your bed. You look out of the window and see a large whomping willow tree that looks like it is taking deep breaths. You then see a beautiful bluebird fly past your window and around the castle below you. The next day, you leave the dormitory quite refreshed and go to the top of the stairs of one of the towers for your lesson with Professor Trelawney. She is very happy to see you. She hands you an empty teacup with black tea leaves forming a shape across the bottom. She tells you that it is a personal symbol for you to heal your spirit, to take with you as a protection. You thank her for this symbol. The next lesson of the day is with Hagrid in the forest. The whole class is walking with you into the forest. Ron and Hermione are next to you. You are stood in an open clearing by the lake. It is beautiful. Hagrid tells you all to prepare yourselves. He brings out from behind the trees a very remarkable creature called a hippogriff. It is a mythical blue creature called Buckbeak. Hagrid tells you that if Buckbeak bows to you, then you are allowed to approach him. Hagrid then calls on you first to approach. Ron and Hermione cheer you on. You stand about 10 feet away and slowly bow to Buckbeak. He smiles and returns your bow. Hagrid then tells you that you may ride on him. He lifts you up and places you on Buckbeak's back. Buckbeak then breaks out into a run and takes off into the sky. His wings are enormous as they soar across Hogwarts. You both fly around the castle, over fields and trees, and then fly over the humongous lake. You get low enough to the lake for Buckbeak's claw to touch the water. You let go of his back and let your arms outstretch. This is the freest you have ever felt. This is perfect. You feel so mindful, experiencing the air, the movement, the feathers, the freedom. Buckbeak then brings you back to where the rest of the class and Hagrid are awaiting your return. He lands, and Hagrid helps you off. Buckbeak then bows to you, and you bow back. Ron and Hermione are so excited for you, even Draco. Ron and Hermione then lead you to the edge of the lake. You see Hedwig fly over your shoulder and across the lake. As Hedwig flies, the weather changes from fall to winter, and snow forms on the mountain tops. And as Hedwig continues to fly around the castle and the grounds, snow covers Hogwarts very heavily. It is magical. Ron and Hermione lead you up to the snowy courtyard where Fred and George are building a snowman and having snowball fights with the other students. You join them, throwing a snowball at Ron. Ron then throws one at Hermione. This is so much fun. Fred and George then pull you aside. Fred is holding a large piece of parchment for you. It is a map. It is a very special map where you can see where everyone is in the castle. You open one of the pages and see Professor Dumbledore's feet moving around in his study. You thank Fred and George and take off down one of the corridors to explore. You keep your head buried in your map. You see a name come up on the map that's walking towards you. It says Professor Lupin. In 10 steps or so, Professor Lupin is then stood in front of you. He says, "Hello," and you fold the map away and place it in your pocket. The professor then tells you that he has something to show you, and you follow him into one of the classrooms. This particular classroom has tall iron stands with candles in them all around the room. The professor clicks his fingers just above each of the candles and it lights. There is also a large trunk in the corner of the room. He tells you that inside the trunk is something called a boggart. It is a creature that will appear as your biggest fear. Professor Lupin wants you to think of one of your happiest memories. And when you do, a light will come from the end of your wand and defeat your fear. All you have to do is deeply believe in yourself. Fill your heart entirely up with so much love that fear simply cannot exist there anymore. You tell him that you're ready, and Professor Lupin lifts open the trunk and out floats something that you need to release your grip on. You take a nice deep breath and think of a joyful, happy memory. You are living this memory right now, as if your emotions are experiencing it right now. As this memory floods your entire system, the brightest light you have ever seen comes out the end of your wand. It becomes the shape of an animal you feel most connected to. It is spectacular. It is so bright and amazing. Your animal charm completely engulfs your fear and pushes it back. You wholeheartedly believe in your power to defeat this. Your fear will never win. The light makes the boggart smaller and smaller and smaller until it completely disappears into nothing. The light then fades away from your wand. Professor Lupin is overjoyed. You are overjoyed. He pats you on your back. You pull the map out of your pocket and thank the professor. You go back to the corridor feeling lighter, stronger, elated. You then come to a bridge within the castle that goes across a part of the lake. It is beautiful, magical, and all the snow has now disappeared. It is a perfect green everywhere. The mountains, the forest, the water is a perfect blue. The map then tells you that Sirius Black is walking towards you. You look down the bridge and see a large black dog stood there. You ask if the dog is Sirius Black, your godfather. The dog nods his head and transforms into a man with long dark hair. He walks towards you and looks incredibly happy to see you. He holds you gently on both of your shoulders and you can feel a great deal of love and care coming from him. He tells you that he saw your Patronus charm, and that only a very powerful witch or wizard could do something like that. That you hold a great deal of strength and love inside you. He tells you to never forget how truly powerful you really are. You thank him and walk with him to the courtyard. Ron and Hermione are stood there with Buckbeak. Sirius tells you that he must leave now, but he will see you very soon. He jumps onto Buckbeak's back. You pet Buckbeak on the nose and thank him for his ride and guidance. Buckbeak then takes off with Sirius Black on his back in the air. You thank Ron and Hermione for their guidance too. They smile and give you a hug. You then walk through one of the archways in the courtyard, and on the other side is the room in which you lay or sit. On your exhale, slowly return yourself back into your physical body. Become aware of the time and space you are in now. Any sounds and smells in the room. Become aware of your heartbeat, of your breath. Place one hand on your heart and one on your belly so you can feel the movement of your physical. Then put some energy back into your fingers and your toes. Give them a wriggle. And give some of your muscles a really good squeeze. And release and let go, putting some energy back into them. We are then going to close this meditation with 2 nice cleansing breaths together. Take a nice big inhale. Exhale, letting it go. On your next exhale, make sure you exhale with a sigh. Make sure you make a noise on the way out. Bring yourself back to this earth. Take a nice big inhale. Let it go. And very slowly open your eyes and smile. Thank you very much for joining me. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.